you have gone on this personal growth journey for quite a few years now of reading 50 books a year and implementing no less than 50 ideas per year that I'm guessing many of which are generated from those books. So how did that come to be? Did you meet a librarian back in the day that gave you this idea? Like, give us the background on this and how it's played out.
No, it's not a cool story, but it's a very impactful story. I'm sure you've seen him on YouTube or social. Have you heard of Eric Thomas, hip hop preacher, motivational
Hmm.
speaker? So
Yeah.
he comes to Dallas back in like 2012, 2013, and I get front row seats for the guy. Just absolutely just love the guy to death. Huge motivation. And back then I read 16 books that year. So he says, all right, who here loves to read? And he goes, if you raise your hand, if you read more than 5 books this last year. So like a cocky person that I'm not very proud of, but it's honest. I don't raise my hand. I raise both hands and I'm in the front row. So he goes, raise your hand if you read more than 10 books. Then I guess you raise your hand if you read more than 15 books. And that year I'd read 16. And so I was number one in the room that read the most amount of books. So he hands me the mic and he pulls me up on stage and he says, all right, what's your name? Tell us who you are. Okay, great. You read your 16 books. That's awesome. Tell us the top 16 things that you implemented from reading those 16 books. Uh, 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 Beyond embarrassed, but it really hit home and it resonated. There's no point of reading a book if you don't implement it. So I created a
Mm.
model for myself that when I'm reading a book, I write down the top 10 things I want to learn and implement from the book. And then I write that top 10 ahas that I learned from the book. So the way I take my notes when I'm reading a book is it's asterisks for an aha, some new idea that I absolutely love, or it's something cool. It's an open box, like a square, if it's a task that I want to be able to implement. Take
And
that.
Wally, you're just doing this in the margin, like of an actual physical
Yeah.
book as you go.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Because
So
remember,
like the
I'm
box
reading.
is almost like a check mark box, like this, so you could go back through sort of deal.
Exactly. Exactly.
Okay.
So I'm making that box. I'm able to check it, but then I sit down with my assistant and we take out 3 highlighters: a red, a yellow, and a green. The green is what I want to implement in the next 30 days. The yellow is what I want to implement in the next 60 days. The red is what I want to implement in the next 90 days. So it helps me understand like Rome was never built in a day, but one of my
Yeah.
affirmations every morning is Rome was not built in a day, Wally. However, Rome was built day after day after day after day after day. Keep building. And that helps me not quit when things get tough. So when I created that 30, 60, 90-day breakdown, I didn't feel like I had to read a book and implement everything from it from day one, get overwhelmed and quit. I gave myself a runway to be able to implement. And then from there, my assistant added on my calendar what that week I'm supposed to be implementing to stay on track of the red, yellow, and green. And I'm able to track it that way from there. So to me, it became a system. And once I learned how to apply systems to reading books, books became easy because you become so much more successful when you implement what you read. Books become hard when you read a book super excited, then you quit and you fail and you feel inferior to what the author wrote that you never succeeded to.